G'day, legends, and we're back on the Thursday session on Celtic Down Under. I'm your host, Jared, and joining me is Willie and Jared. How you doing, Willie?
I'm doing all right, Jared. Had a busy week, and I'm looking forward to a long weekend. Much well-earned rest.
You and me both, mate. I think we're all looking forward to the long weekend. Jared, I think you mentioned that before we went on air as well. Bring on the long weekends. How you doing?
Oh, I'm good now. The long weekend has started. How can you complain? It's been crap. Oh, I'm sore there. It's been a crap month or so. But yeah, long weekend, reset, refocus, just like Celtic going into the rest of the season, or for us, the rest of your life.
Exactly. So, yeah, we're just talking off air before the show about, ways to make extra cash. And, we had some pretty interesting stuff there. So, Jared was telling us about, one of his stand-up jokes that he's got. I'm like, why aren't you down here in the comedy festival, mate?
Yeah, I don't have that much material. Like my first solo show will probably be in August or something this year at Good Chat Comedy Club in Brisbane. I'm kind of working on that, but yeah, once I've got a lot of stuff I do on that, though, I won't be able to tour because it involves me using other people. So maybe give it another couple of years. I've been so slack this year. I've done 4 gigs.
Yeah, you haven't been slack though, because you coached a team to a championship and all this sort of stuff as well. So
that took a lot of time. Yeah,
there it is. So anyway, we'll have a little thing there. Robert Gibson in the comments. How you doing, Robert? Sonia, evening lads. Great chat with Paddy McCourt the other night. Yeah, that was a late one for me and Willie. It was 1 a.m. for me, 3 a.m. for Willie. So he went to bed, got up, and I stayed up and did the chat and had no idea who I was the next day. Pretty much, it was great fun, but absolutely buzzing to have spoken to a former Celtic player on the podcast. So if you haven't seen that already, just go check it out. That was on Monday's episode instead of the pot noodle. And one of our main topics for tonight's episode is what makes a cult hero. That's based off that podcast. So I thought we'll spin off that into this episode. But before then, I think we've got a few other things to talk about. So today is the day for Brendan Rodgers with his impending hearing with the charges the SFA brought against him for the comments that he made after the Hearts game. So we'll have a bit of a rundown on where everything's at. So I'm going to have to go to one of those dirty red tops and just get a nice little overview here. So Brendan Rodgers will fight the SFA at Hampden tomorrow, so today, backed by London legal big hitter Nick DeMarco. The Celtic boss is facing a 2-game touchline ban for allegedly accusing VAR John Beaton of incompetence. The key word allegedly there for me. We all heard it. We all saw it. He did say it. Incompetence. So putting allegedly in there, we've seen it. The rule is it's like Article 72 or something like that. You can't mention incompetence. So for me, he's guilty, but the issue is going to be a 2-game ban, or is it going to be up to a 20-game ban, which it could be. So off the back of that, you've got, if found guilty, Rodgers would be forced to watch from the stand for the upcoming league clashes with Livingston and Rangers at Ibrox. But the Celts have lawyered up for the hearing scheduled for lunchtime tomorrow. It's understood experienced barrister DeMarco has been brought up to lead the defence. So we've gone and absolutely loaded up there. Now, the issue we all know, it's like the re-refereeing of the game. We don't need to dive back into it. But realistically, it's gonna kick off, in my opinion, seeing how it all plays out. So, Willie, what are your thoughts on how it's going to happen?
I think we're going to get a 2-game ban. I don't think there'll be any way to avoid that. It says there in black and white in the rules he's not allowed to do that, and he's done it. And the sort of minimum punishment for this is a 2-game ban, as you said. So I don't know, can he get, because in his previous good record, I don't think he's ever been charged by the SFA for anything in either of his spells as manager. So I think they might get on the lenient side of it. And the hope is that he might get a 1-game ban with 1 game suspended. So with a little bit of luck, that might happen, but we know how unhappy the SFA are, so the chances of that happening are pretty remote in my eyes, and I'm fully expecting that he'll be in the stand for the next 2 games.
With that, his name Hamish, who used to be on 67 Hail Hail, he's opened his own channel, Celtic AM. He did a good dive into it the last couple of days, and yeah, what he was saying is that there was I can't remember what team it was, a guy got 1 game plus a 1 game suspended to the end of the season. So that's probably the best case scenario we could get. The rest of them, yeah, you're pretty much looking at you're going to get the charges there. Jared, what are you thinking is going to happen on this?
Look, the fact that they've even got rid of the head of referees, like that to me, that's a good sign for us, because they're looking, going, yeah, maybe we are incompetent. They're not going to say it, but maybe they're kind of looking, going, we're not really doing things right. That's not the point, though. The point is, even if it was the most incompetent crap you've ever seen, you're not meant to say it, which is what he's going to get banned for. The fact that they're bringing in DeMarco, to me, this is like the first time the Celtic board seems to have backed Brendan Rodgers, like bringing in someone decent. I don't think it's going to go much further than the 2 games, a 1 and a suspended sentence. That would be great, but 2 games, whatever. Get it done. What he said was right. It needed to be said. Fuck him.
100%. Yeah, we got to the point where you take you got to cop it on the chin, basically. He's gone out there. He said what he needed to say. It had to be said. So it was necessary evil. So you live with it. You cop the ban and get on with it. So going through this, like Peter Grant commented saying that if Brendan Rodgers is hit with an SFA ban, it will lead to a build-up of conspiracy theories leading into Ibrox. So with the Hoops boss in the dock for incompetent, yeah, he's looking at the 2-game ban. Now, we brought in DeMarco. Last time he came up the road to help us out he was the same man who got Scott Brown off the hook in 2019 before a Glasgow Derby game. So he does have, a history of coming up the road and actually helping us out on that front. But as Peter Grant was saying, if the verdict for the judiciary panel goes against Rodgers, the ex-Celtic star isn't looking forward to the fallout. Everyone is saying it would make a mockery of Scottish football. The exact quote was, "Let me tell you, if he misses the Celtic Rangers game for whatever reason, you know what people are going to be saying then. You know they're going to be making a mockery of Scottish football. You know the conspiracy theorists everybody talks about. It will be building up. You're going to be without your fans and now your manager. You know everyone will be talking about if Brendan is banned for that game and the away supporters already aren't there for it." So I actually look at that and go, if he's banned and we've got no fans, we go there, we absolutely we smash them and we get the win. What does that say? It's going to make them implode. So a little bit from column A.
Hoping that he gets banned for that game. Like, when you look at when we beat, like on paper, we seem to be like almost level with Rangers, but when we play each other, we win because we want it more and we have more heart, and they seem to just shit the bed when they plays. And I think not having Brendan Rodgers is just going to light that fire up against us again. And when you think about it, he's only banned from the sideline during the game. In the whole lead up, he's not banned from training. He can get everyone ready. He can have a whole game plan done, and then he just sits in the stand. John Kennedy, I think he'll do just as good a job on the sideline. But I think him not being on the sideline will give us that fire that he probably couldn't give us if he was on the sideline.
It's the old us against the world sort of thing. All the battle stations, you walk in there, you're going to have your 11 players on the pitch, your coaching staff, your subs. So you're going to be like probably 25, 30 deep walking into, 50-odd thousand. It's going to be like us against the world. And Rodgers has done all the training, as you're saying there, Jared, and then he's just connected with an earpiece with John Kennedy, just going, just telling him what to do, and microphoning down him saying, so someone gets the card, make this sub, whatever, which Rodgers is pretty good at his in-game management overall. We're not going to miss that if he's up in the crowd watching it and on the radio down to him. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
He's not going to miss it, and he's going to have a better view from up there too. You see more of the game, how the more the game's playing out from the stands than you do from the touchline. The higher up the, well, I'm not saying like when you're in that sort of middle tier or the bottom or the bottom section, the middle of the bottom section of the stadium, you get a really good view of how the game's playing out. So I don't think like him being in the stands doesn't bother me as much as him. Like if they said he wasn't allowed in the stadium at all, like you know what I mean, then you'd be sitting there saying, "Oh, this isn't right." But he's in the stand, as you say. He's mic'd up. He's got a good view of the game. He's got a great record against them. So you're still going in there with a quiet confidence about the game. You know what I mean? Even if he isn't in the stand, I don't know. I can see it being a ban. It'll be a 2-game ban, and that'll be it. They are petrified of Rangers, and if they don't act, if they give him a 1-game ban with a 1-game suspended ban, the Rangers fans will explode, sorry, and it'll just kick off for them. And the SFA are scared of Rangers.
And that's what some of the comments are
It's a 2-game
saying.
ban. Yeah.
Robert Gibson saying, slam dunkies in the stands for the Huns. And Robert followed up with, I got a 1-game ban for calling the ref a wanker last season, didn't even name him. Doesn't surprise me.
Obviously knew who he was. Like,
Maestro saying if Brendan Rodgers doesn't get a ban, the Huns will go into meltdown. 100% they will. And then he's followed up with, past 2 games against them, we've controlled the middle of the park. And then hail Ian as well in the comments. So I'm looking at that and I'm going, yeah, it could all work out. The only thing I'm going to tell Brendan is this is just taking the piss here, but if you're going to sit in the stands at Ibrox, make sure you take a bucket with you. So you've got somewhere to put all those coins that their crowd is going to throw at you on batteries and stuff. So collect the evidence. You know, you might make a few dollars here and there that could go towards paying for your lawyer. So, you know, take a bucket with you. And if you know Australian football, throw it at a goalkeeper's head.
What's the story behind that one? I don't know this.
The Melbourne Derby last year, there was massive issues going on with active support walking out and this sort of stuff. And we knew there was going to be trouble. And 20th minute, there was pitch invasion and there was flares thrown. A flare was thrown. The goalkeeper threw the flare back into the crowd. The people jumped the fence, tried to go him. Someone come out, the sand buckets they have behind the goals to put the flares out in. Someone grabbed that bucket and just threw it into the goalkeeper's head. Straight into his head. Sand went everywhere. Game was delayed for 20-something minutes and then called off. That bloke's now Middlesbrough's goalkeeper, the bucket head.
Did he go all in Dida and start rolling around in the pitch?
No, he shit his dacks and went and hid behind his teammates. So back to
Australian soccer or football.
We don't muck around over here.
Kids, throwing sand buckets at people's head is dangerous. Please be responsible if you're going to attempt this.
Yes, remove the sand first.
No, remove the burning flare first. Throw the sand in the bucket. That's the Australian way. Anyway, Ian is saying Rodgers will likely get banned for telling the truth, 100%. But as we said earlier, he's got to cop it and get on with it. So just looking at that situation, John Kennedy managed this weekend away at Livingston. I hate that it's no longer called the Tony Macaroni Stadium. And then he'll probably have to back up at Ibrox. So that'll be good fun as that narrative to see what sort of absolute rubbish is written on the blogs and the in the rags and newspapers, all that sort of stuff for the next week leading into the derby. But yeah, we'll see how that all progresses. Any other final things you want to add to that, boys, before we crack on to the next topic?
No, I'm just looking forward to seeing John Kennedy manage. In my opinion, he should be the next Celtic manager. So it'll be good to see what he can do in a couple of games.
Are you Peter Lawwell in disguise?
Disguise. No, I think he's been loyal. He's been under Brendan Rodgers. He's been under Lennon when he was good, and he's been under Ange. And the players seem to like him. I was like, give him a shot. He can't do any worse than some other people.
Yep. I want to bring up a couple of questions here. Okay. Yeah, so Michael Ross is asking, where's the audio? Yeah, we know. That's what we want to know as well. Then he's followed up, where's the tapes? Yeah, we want to know. And then Maestro is saying, why have referees, if the decisions have been taken out of their hands? VAR refereed the game at Tynecastle, and that's the issue. VAR's only supposed to be getting involved for clear and obvious errors. If the refs called it on the pitch, fine, you get on with it. But we'll have to see how it plays out. I'm thinking he's going to hop in a 2-game ban. Anything less than that, borderline a miracle, let's be honest. And we'll watch the
Isn't
blue
it the
side.
same? Isn't it the same ref from that game that's refereeing the one on the weekend?
Yep.
Rodgers,
Which is good. I think he was great. I thought he was awesome that game. It was just a VAR.
Yeah.
If he didn't listen to VAR, that would have been a great game.
Yeah, he's got to just back himself in.
It's mental, isn't it? Don Robertson can't stick to his own convictions against us when we play Hearts, and he gets a Celtic game straight after it. He's got another one. Yet Willie Collum has a bad game against Rangers, and he hasn't refereed them since.
It gets even funnier. Where's John Beaton reffing this weekend? Do you know?
No, he'd probably
isn't he like second division or something?
He's got Queen's Park versus Partick Thistle or something like that. I think it is.
Yeah.
He's got some second division game.
That's still a level too high for him.
It says it all. Should be back. Should be up in the Highland League. Make him go ref some people up there, and if they don't like him, they'll throw stones at him or something. Isn't that how it works up there, Willie?
Hi.
He should do VAR for the Highland League. And by that I mean watching TV at home.
There's footage of your man, the Tory. He was running the line for him at the Inverness Cali game at the weekend. He was just getting absolute pelters. The boy Douglas Ross, he was getting absolute pelters. So maybe a wee stint up there would do John Beaton some world of good. A bit of humility about him.
Yep, 100%. All right. So the next topic we're going to talk about is there's currently a bit of an issue going on. So the Celtic women's team is going to be playing a few games in the back end of the season at Celtic Park, like they did last season. So the Green Brigade and the North Curve group are trying to bring in the Celtic End that they had set up last season. So if you're not sure what that is, I've got some pictures to bring up of it here. So the Celtic End was like that. So you had the big banner all across behind the goals. I've put the same photo in twice. There's your wide shot for you. So the bench is there, all at the end there, big banner. So fair crowd, fair turnout. Girls doing the huddle with that. So that looks pretty amazing in my opinion, right? So the issue that they've got at the moment is this is the response from the Green Brigades and North Curve. So they're talking about the women's matches at Celtic Park. It was despite our best intentions and efforts, the club has refused to facilitate the Celtic End for the upcoming Celtic women's matches at Celtic Park. This is in stark contrast to similar matches last May where fans reps worked constructively with the club to promote the matches and draw record crowds. The decision has been taken by Michael Nicholson and Chris Mackay. It is vindictive against the concept of the Celtic End, the fans groups behind the idea, and the thousands of fans who want to see some level of consideration given to goal end standing section to rejuvenate a stale Celtic Park. Then they've gone on to say, shamefully, Nicholson and Mackay would prefer Celtic women to be detrimented than have a positive advert for the Celtic End. Ironically, this decision contradicts the club's statements following the cancellation of away tickets at a recent SWPL Glasgow derby, which decried others undermining the promotion and progress of the women's game. At a critical time in both the men and women's seasons, we have no desire to engage in a public spat which may distract positive support for both teams. For this reason, as well as the unreasonable obstacles, it is regrettable that we will not attend upcoming women's matches at Celtic Park. So, looking at that, first of all, I want to talk about the overall concept of the Celtic End. So we've got currently the setup is the boys are up in the top deck. You've got the Green Brigade in the corner. And the concept of the Celtic End would be, as you can see in those pictures, standing area behind the goals, making a big wall like you could see with the big barricade behind, like the big banners behind. And eventually they want to put it so you get tifos that you can be lifted up and down and all this sort of stuff if they were to set that up. Jared, what would your thoughts be on that sort of setup? Would you prefer to have all the active support together in one area behind the goals, trying to G everyone up like it is? Because that's pretty much how everywhere else I've seen, like particularly in the A-League, the active support tend to sit behind the goals.
Yeah,
and then
it's happening in other clubs as well. Like, they're already doing it in other clubs. I don't understand what the big deal is. It gets people there. And they're even what the funny thing is they said it's not going to happen, and then the first thing they do is they bring out an advertising and showing the crowd and how it's like, oh, the noise and the atmosphere. So you're saying it's a good thing in advertising this atmosphere that happened last time, and then going, but you're not allowed to do that. Like,
they're good at that, aren't they? They did that for the the amount of times they'll sell, like, you know, they do an advertising thing and there's like pictures of tifos in the Champions League, or there's, you know, pictures with a bunch of pyros going and stuff like that, or full stadium tifos for the Barcelona 2012 game. Yet then when people want to do the same thing again, what happens? No, you can't have that. So it's like when they can make money out of it, they'll use it, but when they lose control of it, look what happens. What do you think, Willie?
I think it's a shame that there's going to be the noise bringers to the stadium aren't going to be at the women's games. I really need them there. You know what I mean? The Celtic End was a great success last season. Like, the noise that was generated on the day, it definitely helped the team. And the fact that they seem to be going to war with each other again between the two factions on the board, it's not a good look. Like, you know what I mean? I just wish the guys could come to some sort of compromise where they could attend the game, because it really will spur the girls on to play better, hearing the noise and the singing and the chanting and all the flags waving around. Even if they can't get the Celtic End going, they should just, is there no some way that they can come out and still support the team? Like, but you need that. I mean, it's a perfect time to sort of trial this Celtic End. You know what I mean? Just right, let's give it another. We had a run out last season that proved quite successful. Let's give it another run out this season, see how it goes, see if it's just as successful, or was it just a one-off? It's a good chance to prove again that it's worthy. So for me, it's something that I thought was really good, and it's something that they could look at bringing into the men's game too. Like, can they move the Green Brigade round from section 111 to behind that goal and move the boys round a wee bit more to create one big massive sort of section? And if it does kick off like that, why not put the railed area, move it round to that section and really get that noise and kicking off in that one area, you know what I mean? Rather than having divided noise at either end of the stadium, you could have it all in one sort of area. I think it's an opportunity missed by the club here, like, big time.
Yep, 100%. So
and the people that miss out is the women's team.
Yeah.
Like, who have done nothing wrong. Like, they're playing awesome. I think, aren't they on top or something at the moment? Like, they just beat Rangers.
I think there's one or 2 points between them, the three teams, them and Glasgow City and Rangers. It's really nip tuck again.
Mm-hmm. I feel bad for them.
It's them that lose out, like, you know what I mean? It's a women's team that lose out. It's a shame, like, it really is a shame. And just like I say, if there's a compromise that can be made that can get everyone to the stadium to watch the game and still stick two fingers up at the board, then have it, you know what I mean?
So it's that close in the league at the moment that the Rangers women are on top with a goal difference of 81, but they're on 60 points. Celtics in second on 59 points with a goal difference of 90. Glasgow City's in third on 59 points with a goal difference of 61. So realistically, that's how close it is. Like, if we can even end on the same points as Rangers, we've got 9 extra goals up our sleeve there, so that comes in handy. But just going back to the situation, so with the Green Brigade's thing saying that it was like that there was issues and the club were just like not working with them. Apparently, a statement's come out from the club saying that there were certain safety concerns which made giving up the Jockstein impossible, and the Green Brigade were allowed to attend in their usual rail seating section. They said the group were made aware that the Jockstein would not be made available due to certain safety concerns relating to this specific area, but arrangements have been made with the club to let them attend within the rail seating. This has been communicated to the group, and the club hope as many supporters and supporters groups as possible would come along. And then, so the club's basically said, you can come along, but you've got to have to sit in your normal area. And I think that's part of it. Like what you said, Willie, if they put to make this happen, if you wanted to have the Celtic End or green wall, as Michael Ross has called it here, where he's saying the green wall will never happen. If you want to be like the yellow wall that you got at Dortmund, for instance, you're going to need to install the rail seating in the middle. So that's the first issue. That's probably what the safety concerns are. Let's be honest. If you get all these people, 15,000 people piling into one stand and there's no rail seating, people fall over the top of each other, the club's liable. So that's probably what the club's talking about there. But at the same time, do you want to make it happen? It's a good opportunity to trial it, but you don't have the right seating there. Ideally, I'd love to see the Green Brigade rail seating stay where it is on one corner, do another one on the other, and eventually fill that all in. And let's have the whole from corner to corner along the whole thing being lower tier, being standing. I think that'd be amazing. Problem is, you're going to have a lot of people who have had those seats in that area for years and don't want to move and don't want to stand. So that's where it becomes a bit of an issue. But I'll bring up some of the comments here. Michael Ross is, it's a shame, but the Green Brigade saying they're not going seems childish. I can see their point, but at the same point, I can understand what the club's saying. Maestro is saying Celtic need a person on the board who can communicate with the fans and take it to the board. The board need a communicator. Fans are the lifeblood, 100%. That's why we're supposed to have supporter liaison officers. Like we've got, was it John Paul Taylor? But he needs help. That's one guy trying to deal with 60,000 just for the men's games and then for the women's game again. So you need that as well. So it's a bit of an issue. And then Michael Ross has got a comment for you, Willie, saying there are corporate boxes that there's no chance they'll move it. So there you go. There's an answer.
Yeah.
And then Pegleg saying, why did this board continually put their foot in it? Pure incompetence. There's that word again, incompetence. I should have named the podcast Incompetence.
Allegedly
Incompetence. Yeah, so it's we'll have to watch this space and see how it plays out. But I think the upcoming games were against Hibs and someone else. I can't remember who it was for the girls, but it'll be good to see him not playing down in Ayrshire and up actually playing at home at Celtic Park. Get a bit of a turnout, see how we go, see if the crowd can come along, support the girls, and rally them on to winning the comp. So fingers crossed, and I'm sure we'll talk about it some more on future podcasts. So on Monday, Monday's podcast, we had the interview that we spoke about at the start of the show here, Willie, you and me talking to Paddy McCourt. So if you haven't watched that, when you're done with watching this, go back, give that a watch, share it around. It's good to get on and have a chat with him. But off the back of that interview, I want to discuss, there's something that I've seen on a few people commented on the post, like it's my favorite player, massive cult hero, that sort of thing. And then I've seen a couple of group chats that I'm in having similar discussions. So I want to get your thoughts, boys, I want to discuss what makes a cult hero at Celtic. Okay, so what we want to do is what makes you one? Like, what are the parameters or guidelines that you have that make someone eligible to be called a cult hero? Okay, so do you want a bit of thinking time on that? So the first, because I've got 3 or 4 different things there. I've got like 3 different things for me that are things that need to be taken into account. So what makes a cult hero, Jared?
For me, you have to be a good player for one. Personality, and you have to elicit emotion from the fan base, which I think is the big one. Like, no one is going to remember every single one of your goals. No one's going to remember everything you've done, but they're going to remember how you made them feel. And for me, that's what makes a cult hero. It's like, God, like when you sent this before, I was starting to think about it. I was like, who would I say is cult heroes? And I'm like, okay, let's get the obvious one out of the way. Henrik Larsson, brilliant player, but he also like he made you. It made you feel a certain way when you watched him play before games and after games. And then I was thinking, and people will probably yell at me for this, but then I was thinking, like, one of our best players that we've ever had, Callum McGregor. I was like, would I call him a cult hero? Probably
I wouldn't
not.
call either him or Henrik one, to be honest with you.
Oh my God.
You know why Henrik's not one? Because he's the king of kings. Like, he is our best ever player. How's that? So for me, he's gone above cult hero status for me. When he first came in, he was.
Saved yourself.
But he's gone past that. So that's why I wouldn't classify him. So looking through what was happening in one of the group chats and then me putting a little twist on it. So I think like the general consensus is that the player needs to have an undoubted natural talent,
Yep.
but they underachieve. Like they don't deliver on what they are, whether it's they've got a bad diet, they love getting on the bevies, they love shagging, whatever. Like Bolingoli, he could have been a player for us, but he was horny. So that's what cost him. Is he a cult hero? Could have been in this section, but he didn't do tick the other two boxes for me, so he doesn't get that status. So there's that sort of thing. Then the next part of it is it could be a player who has limited ability, who's not the greatest player. But for me, perfect example here is Tony Ralston. He's not the greatest player, but he will work harder than better players and will run through a wall for the jersey in his team. So that could make him a cult hero. And the other one, as you said, was it has to be someone who can build that fan base up and people just love them and the way they played. And an example of that was back in the day, Chris Commons was someone who had no prior connection. His wife got involved with a bunch of charities. I know we all think he's an absolute dickhead now, and I don't like the guy. But when he was playing for us under Lenny and that sort of thing, the way he would get out there and he'd score goals, and he'd just pop up here and there. He was one that I would tick off and go, in that section there, he has the natural talent, he underachieves, and he's someone who has no connection, but he's built up that relationship. For me, he had the possibility of pretty much being a cult hero. So that's the way I work it out. But Willie, how would you work out what a cult hero is?
For me, cult hero is somebody who endears himself to the fans. He might not be the most naturally talented footballer, but he gives it his all. Players who will come out and just give an honest day's work and just, they might have that something little je ne sais quoi about them that's just a little bit different. I don't know. Someone like Enrico Annoni would come out with two different coloured boots on. He wasn't a great player. He tried every time he came out, but I would class him as a cult hero. You know what I mean? Players like Paddy McCord, I mean, he admitted himself in the interview he was not the most naturally fit player, but when he came out and some of the goals he scored were just spectacular. You know what I mean? It's just, you can throw him into the cult hero status.
And that's what we're talking about with him, Willie. Like I mentioned about, I was saying about Samaras and how he used to drive me insane with how inconsistent he was, and that's where he brought that up. And the reason, I said to him, no, he's more like Palmer in that it's just his running style makes him look awkward when he's on the ball. But for me, Paddy McCourt, yeah, 100% cult hero. But yeah, anyway,
Right
back
now,
to us.
you look at it right now, Dyson Maeda, I mean, there's times when Dyson Maeda just misses absolute sitters and then he'll score worldies and he just runs, he has an engine on him like I've never seen in any footballer before. You could probably put Dyson Maeda in 10, 15 years' time and go, Dyson Maeda, he's a cult hero. Like, you know, I mean, he's going to be a Japanese player with ginger hair turning up on the wing. He had black hair the week before and no hair the week before that. Like, you know what I mean? So you maybe put Dyson Maeda in that category.
Cult hero in that cult.
If you're going with current players, then Nicholas Flynn as well. Why not?
What's his name? Sabi Brotto. Well, what's his name now? Brotto, the goalkeeper. Sabi Brotto or something like that. What's his name? Yeah. He's a bit of a cult hero. Came in, played half a dozen games, and was better than any keeper at the team. But we couldn't play him in Seville, and he never signed a deal, and he moved on. Sanchez Javier Brotto. What was his name? Was it not something like that?
I can't remember. Yeah. So for me, if we have a think about it, and I want to get the comments going as well. But let us know in the comments who you think would be a cult hero, and who would be your all-time favorite, like not favorite player, but your most favorite sort of cult hero player at the club. So there you go, Javier Sanchez Brotto.
That's it. Took me ages to try and get that one out. My tongue got tied on that, like.
So I'll bring up some comments in the meantime. So Robert Gibson was saying Bernabé's mullet was a cult hero. The guy himself was a. See you next Tuesday. Michael Ross, Tommy Burns, the king of cult heroes. Maestro is saying, I always thought cult heroes were people with imperfections but gave their heart and soul. So that's basically, the first two that I was saying I agree with you on that. So Anton Rogan, Mike Galloway, Tony Ralston, I put him into that same group there.
Andy Tom.
There you go. Yep. Bolingoli's Celtic's COVID porn star superhero. Yep. And then Maestro saying Barry Robson became a big player in his time at Celtic. Just trying to think, who was another one that I would have put into the list. So if I had to come up with the top 3 of like guys, Paddy McCourt would probably be there or thereabouts. But yeah, it's I look at it and go, Tom Rogic, I think he'll be seen as a cult hero. And the reason for that is his fitness was the reason that he wasn't a 90-minute starting player. If he was fitter, he could have played at a much higher level than Celtic with the magic he had in his feet. So he's one that I think we'll look back on with his goals scored and everything, and he could be a cult hero. Maestro's thrown in here, Thomas Gravison. Yep, that's another one there. I'm going to throw it in to try and wind up Liam, see if he tunes in, see how long it takes for the comment. I'm going to put Robbie Keane in there just because he hates him. Not because he's actually a cult hero.
I'd probably put Scott Bryan. Mainly, the one thing I remember about Scott Bryan is he turned 11 on 11 to 13 on 10 because another Celtic cult hero in Old Firm games, I think, is I just completely forgot his name. The Rangers striker.
What, Miller?
No, the little short guy from Colombia.
Nacho Novo.
Not most
Or
recent.
Morelos.
Morales, that's it. He turned him into a Celtic player whenever we were playing, and it was brilliant to watch because he would just get under his skin. He would just like I think Morelos had more red cards than he had goals against us, in those Old Firm games, and I think most of them were because of Scott Bryan, and he just had. And the new Morelos is now Todd Cantwell, and Callum McGregor. Callum McGregor just gets under his skin, and Todd Cantwell becomes an extra Celtic jersey whenever he's on the field playing against us. He's useless. So yeah, 100%. Scott Bryan for me.
Michael Ross has come through with, I was waiting for it, the holy goalie, Artur Boric. Yep, here's another one. So I think the key thing here is what makes a cult hero. There's 3 or 4 main things, and we've had quite a few in our history as a club. So in the comments, whether you're on the live show now or you're listening to a podcast and or whatever, comment through your podcast app, comment through YouTube. If you're watching the replay on the YouTube as well, get in the comments. Let us know what makes someone a cult hero at Celtic, and let us know who your all-time favorite cult hero is at Celtic, or rattle off who were them. I want to get a list together that I can hopefully refer back to in a future podcast. So, yeah, if you can get involved that way, I really appreciate it. So, I'm thinking because there's no Dan here tonight because he pulled a heartstring and got a bit of the man flu and everything and bailed on the episode. We're going to be done a lot quicker than normal. So, I was going to ask Paddy on the episode at the end, and I kind of ran out of time. I was going to ask him for some beard grooming advice for Dan, and I was actually about to, and I thought, yeah, he probably doesn't know who Dan is on our pod, so probably would go over his head. I was just trying to wind him up a bit. So, come on, Dan, get involved in the comments if you're there. But
I don't think Dan should shave his beard, then you'd be able to see his face more.
I think you should just shave off his moustache and just go the old, what's it? The old
cockduster.
Get rid of the flavor saver and keep the rest. Go the old yokel look. Yep, happy days. So anyway, we'll move on to the weekend's game. So we're playing Livingston away on Easter Sunday. It's starting to get better for us, boys. Starting to get better. Well, not for you, Jared, because you're not on daylight savings. Actually, it would be better for you because it's UK daylight savings that's changing. So instead of it being 11, what's that?
It's 9 p.m. here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 10 p.m. here. So we've been 11 hours. Willie, you'd be at 13 hours, I think, over in New Zealand for the games with Celtic Park time difference.
We're at 10:15 at the moment. When does the clock go back in the UK? Is it Sunday or Monday?
On Sunday or something like that, I think.
Friday here. 7th of April here, I think.
I don't know when it goes. It's a week later over here. There we go. Amish Dan in the comment. That's what I was thinking of, Robert. But yeah, so the game, that's starting to get a bit better for us. So even more fun. I have to sit up to 11, kick off, and then you get to 1 a.m. and then go to bed. It's going to be great fun. So looking forward to it. But what matchups do you think we need to look out for? The key one for me is who's going to lose their rag first? Is their manager gonna lose his shit at John Kennedy, or is John Kennedy gonna lose his shit at him? There it is. That's where it's gonna be.
John Kennedy's a unit. I don't think David Martindale's got the cojones to go and go toe to toe with John Kennedy. John Kennedy's an absolute tank. Like prison time or not, man, you just don't. It's no the yard in prison. He's not going to. David Martindale's not going to walk up and smack the biggest guy there and mark his arrival and that. Like it's
Shanky out. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so I'm just looking at it going, this game isn't about anything that they do. For us, it's about coming back from the break, being ready to go, and hitting the ground running, and using this game as a launching pad to like get a good result, get a good week's training, go to Ibrox, get the business, and then off the races we are the rest of the season. And it's a catch us if you can sort of thing to Rangers. So for me, the key thing is it's not going to matter what we do. The standard of play needs to work, and we need to win the game. And I think we will win well. So, Jared, I'll let you go your starting lineup and score prediction, and then you, Willie, and then I'll finish it off.
Right. So the only matchup that I am concerned about is this Celtic players coming back from injuries and the plastic pitch. So I'm not sure. I looked at we won 4-2 last game. The biggest, so I'd stick with the shell of that, but I would change our back two, because I don't know if you remember, it was Scales and Welsh, and they sucked balls. So CCV's back. I don't know if they want to hold him out because it's on a plastic pitch. I doubt it. I think he'll play. So it'll be CCV, someone else. I don't know if Scales is back from injury or not yet. Do you know?
Yeah, I don't think
I just
so.
looked it up before and it said unknown injury still out. So I think it'll probably be Welsh, even though I would prefer Narovski. Actually, I'm just going to go with what I want. CCV and Narovski. Hart, Johnson, and Taylor. Through the middle, Iwata. I don't think McGregor is back, or this is where it gets hard. It's like there's people that are back and they're half back. So
like Tate's half back. He played 45
Tate is kind of half back. Yeah. So all right, I'm going to go with Iwata, McGregor, and Bernabe, Hitate, like swapping. Maida has to start because last time he played against them, he scored his hat trick. So whatever he was doing there, keep that same where he's coming in to striker. Keep that. Ida started against them and was useless. So Kyogo needs to start, and the number one position or number one player on the right wing has to start. First name on your sheet, Nicholas Kuhn. But I would, and I need to say, I don't know if Andrew is in the chat, but he got up me because I said I wanted to see Yang and Kuhn play together. And he was like, oh, why are you benching Maida? He just scored a hat-trick. I was like, I'm not saying bench him. I just say I'd like to see it at some point. And so, yeah, I think if we get up a little bit, I'd love to see Yang on the left and Kuhn on the right with Kyogo through the middle and just see what happens, see how they go. And score prediction 4-0.
I'm going to bring up some comments before we go to you, Willie. So Mahesh is saying Celtic need to watch out for the Aussie Yangi if he's playing and if Libby can get enough ball to him. And off the back of that, it's Maestro's saying the big question, does CCV start on the plastic? And then Maestro's also come up saying the bench will be interesting. And that's something for me that I'm going to be, we were saying about players starting to come back into the squad. Seeing the bench and seeing us get a bit of depth there is actually going to be a good thing as well. Pork Chop Express is saying keep CCV for the cesspit. We should have enough to beat Livy without him. And even if it's only a 1-0 win, it will still put pressure on him. What's your thoughts, Willie? What's your starting lineup and what's your score prediction?
Starting lineup for me is Hart and goals, Johnson right back, Welsh and Scales in defence, Taylor at left back. Midfield would be McGregor, O'Reilly, probably Bernardo, I think. And then he'll be swapped for Hatate at some point just to get some minutes in his legs, with Kuhn and Maeda on the wings and Kyogo up front. I think we'll probably score early and we'll probably win 3 or 4-0. And I heard a rumour that they will play a flat back 5, and in defence will be 2 new players, one being both of the chips of, they'll both be the chips of David Martindown's shoulders that he walks around with. So it might be a test for them.
Yeah, so for me, I'd be going very similar to Willie there. I'd be having Hart and goals, Taylor, Johnson, CCV, and Naroski if he's fit. If CCV doesn't play, I want to see Lagerbelka get another game because, Rodgers really doesn't rate him. I don't really want to see Welsh on the plastic. Gives me the fear. Middle of the park, it'll be Awada, Bernardo, and O'Reilly. Don't think Kelmack's back. And then up front, it'll be Maeda, it'll be Kun, and it'll be Kyogo. I think we're going to get an old Brendan Rodgers first stint around. Actually, I'd love to see Kyogo start, but if they're going to play a back 5, then you'd think, as Pork Chop's saying here, we'll play Ada up front. It's a big team. Kyogo will get battered. But as Maestro's saying, this is what I was just about to say here, we'll get the old Rodgers style where in his first stint, we get three goals early and then we just cruise the rest of the game. So I know Jim Moore on Axon was always saying, once you're up 3-0, then you can relax and enjoy the football. So I'd want to get us up 3 goals early, cruise along. If you get 60 minutes into Bernardo, get him off, get 30 minutes into Hatate, great. You want to get Kyogo off, get half an hour into Ida, great, do it. You want to get Yang back in there, cool. We could take Maeda off and give Jared his absolute wet dream of seeing Kun on one wing and Yang on the other. So we've got a whole bunch of options that we can do there. So you get the game done early, cruise it out, rotate the players. Score prediction for me. I think Yangi will score 1 goal, so we're going to win 5-1. And it will be 2 to Kyogo, 2 to Maeda, and 1 to O'Reilly. And I think that's pretty much it for the episode. We've been a little short.
I have one question. Pretty much the only thing I've got on my sheet here is just one thing coming into this game. Livingston are getting relegated. Yangi is going to be cheap. Do we sign Yangi? Because who knows if we're getting Ida, and O is terrible. We need another solid striker, but Yangi, do we take him as a?
You can imagine. Just think about it. Just think about it for a second, though, Jared. What you're saying, the speed he's got and the way he plays, and then you get our guys getting service into him. Is that the sort of thing that would give Brendan Rodgers, a bit of movement in his pants, or what? I think he'd be all about that. I think he'd be quite excitable. So,
and I don't think Yangi's going to want to stay in the Scottish bloody first division or whatever it's called.
No chance.
He'd be wasted down there. He's only getting better. He scored the other day for Australia as well, and he started the last couple of games.
That's the other Yangi.
Wait, who am I thinking?
There's 2 brothers. So there's one. There's the one who scored. The one who scored for Australia plays, I think, at Portsmouth or something like that. And then this is the other brother. but he's still decent.
I didn't watch the game. I just saw the name pop up.
All good, mate. All good.
But this kid is good. Like I think for what we could get him for, it'd be worth the risk. Like high reward, low risk.
It's even funnier because let's look at it this way. How many articles have we seen in the papers and stuff about how Livingston have money problems and that they are struggling to keep the lights on and keep their pitch in order and all this sort of stuff, right? They would probably bite the hand off for a bit of cash coming, especially if they get relegated. So it's probably been a bit opportunistic, but yeah, you may as well at least have a look at it. You want Miovski, let's be honest. But if you're not going to get him, this is out of the Scottish League. It's still a decent quality player, so I'd be for it. There you go. Mahesh is coming here saying, Yangi at Portsmouth is also tearing it up. Younger brother looks better in the long run, and that's who we're talking about now. So yeah, I'd be keen on it.
Yeah, but I don't think we'd get him. I think we could. Like this seems like.
That's what I meant. Sorry, this is the younger brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we'd get the guy from Portsmouth.
No,
I think
chance.
Livingston could get him for almost next to nothing.
Give him a couple of shekels. And one question for you guys there. If Livy are going to get relegated and then we're going to Ibrox the following game, is old mate Martindale, who's a massive Hun, is he going to be coming out telling his players to kick lumps out of us if we're absolutely poleaxing them going into a derby? What do you reckon, Willie?
Don't they do that anyway?
Yeah, pretty much. Will it go to another level, especially with Don Robertson in charge?
What was the question again? Sorry, I
Willie's
was googling where Portsmouth were. He said we might not have a chance of getting the Yengi boy from Portsmouth, but I just said, what level are Portsmouth at now? They're up, they're top of League One. So I was just googling that, and I missed your question, George. I'm very sorry for that.
I was saying with Livingston looking like they're getting relegated, and then with Martindale being a Hun, how much more than normal do you think he's going to tell these guys just to get out there and kick the living shit out of us?
They always do against us. I mean, you even just look at his post-match conferences. He's always, like I say, he's got that chips on his shoulder when he comes up against us. But then when you watch post-match interviews of him against Rangers, he's all, Tav was phenomenal today, and Morelos, he's just unplayable. And you get the interview after our games, we were unlucky, we were robbed here. The referee was, I never gave anything to us for this game. It's just, they'll definitely be primed to be putting the boot in this game. That's for sure.
Yep, 100%. It's like a Hearts, Naismith coach team over there as well. But Michael Ross is saying for the younger Yangi, offer 4 macaroni pies and is our player. And then Maestro saying I'll offer 4 steak mince pies. Robert Gibson here it's one less plastic pitch to deal with. Livingston go down, they're not coming back up for a bunch of years. Let's be honest. They've been up for ages. They get relegated. They're not coming straight back up. They don't have the finances. They don't have the manager with the ability. They're going to just sit in the middle in the next tier or even drop down Hamilton style. So you got rid of Hamilton's plastic pitch. They're now in the 3rd tier. You get rid of these guys. That leaves you with 1 plastic pitch, which is Killy. And Killy's talking about getting rid of theirs anyway. So, yeah, good things overall.
That plastic pitch, that's why I won't play CCV at the weekend. I wouldn't even risk it. We need him for the other 7 games. This is one game he can probably sit out.
Yeah,
so
fair enough.
It's definite. Don't risk him.
Cool. So what we'll do, we'll wrap up the pod. Get your final thoughts ready, boys. So while you're doing that, just if you haven't done so already, you can follow Celtic Down Under on social media channels at the top of the screen here. You've got on Instagram and Threads and Twitter, it's at Celtic Down. On Facebook and YouTube, you can search Celtic Down Under. You can on Facebook, you can find our page in our group and like and join that. YouTube, you can just hit subscribe. Make sure you like the video and you hit notification bell so going forward, anytime we go live, you get notified. And yeah, we'll keep growing the channel. So final thoughts, Willie?
The rainbow community is getting a bit of a kicking over here in New Zealand at the moment. So just live and let live and show a little bit of respect for each other, please.
Jared?
One thing, if you live in Brisbane, next Friday night there is a Scottish themed comedy night at Good Chat Comedy Club, starting at 9 p.m. next Friday. So if you like comedy and you like Scotland and you're in Brisbane, give it a look. Check it out. Also, I'm not on it. So if you message Good Chat Comedy Club and be like, why is the only Scottish comedian in Brisbane not on your Scottish themed night? Get it up them.
Put the info in the group chat, Jared, and I'll share it around everywhere for you so we can bombard them. We'll do a pile-on, see if it works for you. My final thought is we all know how much of a loose unit Derek Adams was with his stint at Ross County. He's lost the plot, right? So he's announced that he wants to get back into football, and he's got plans to appoint 3 members of staff to his backroom team before he actually has a job lined up. The guy's out of control. You're not supposed to drink the bong water, Derek, okay? You don't do that, okay? So I just thought that was unbelievable, funny, and the guy's off his head. So you're off your chops, Derek. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We appreciate it, as usual, and we'll be back next week. Go the Celts. We'll get the win on the weekend, and hail, hail.
Hail, hail.